Hey everybody, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets, your source for Second Amendment news. I am so thankful for each and every one of you out there that watched yesterday's video and knew that it was wrong what was happening to Blackout Coffee simply because they stood behind the channel here and stepped up to make a difference. Thank you all. The response has been humbling, and I know John, the owner of Blackout Coffee, feels the same way. We've been in constant contact the last 24 hours. Thank you all. It is great to know that when someone in our community is wronged, we all join together and we do the best we can to make it right. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart, and for everybody who's gone to Blackout Coffee to help them out. I know John and his family are extremely thankful as well. So thank you so much. That's the good news. Here comes the bad news. So David Hogg and his group of merry men and women, well, kids, they are not stopping. They're going to be pimped again by the anti-gunners and the liberals here, and they have released their bold plan for gun reform and gun control, and it's going to make you sick to your stomach, but we need to be aware of it because as their movement goes, that is exactly what Congress pushes through, well, at least the liberal side. Is there a non-liberal side anymore? I don't know. So their plan is called Change, and each letter corresponds with one of their very bold steps in saving America from gun violence. And I'll go over them quickly. If you really want more information, you can check out their webpage. It's marchforourlives.com. I wouldn't go there, but I only did because I need to bring this information to you. So we'll start with what they are. Okay, they have their intro to this is a peace plan for a safer America. Change the standards of gun ownership, half the rate of gun deaths in 10 years, accountability for the gun lobby and industry, name a director of gun violence prevention, generate community-based solutions, and empower the next generation. And I'll give you just a little bit of meat on each one of those bones. But yeah, you'll see where it's going. So the first one is change the standards of gun ownership. What does that mean? Pay attention, because like I said, as these groups go, so do the bills follow. They have every step of the way so far. So they want to advocate and pass legislation to raise the national standard for gun ownership. You know, currently that standard is just be an adult and be a law-abiding citizen so that you can enjoy your God-given right, your civil right. But these guys want to change your civil rights. Maybe they'll let us change theirs. But anyway, I digress. They want a national licensing and registry system that promotes responsible gun ownership. So what they're saying is we want a registry to know who has what and where it is so that we can come get it. Because after every registration everywhere in the world, the next step is, that's right, confiscation. They continue though. A ban on assault weapons, a ban on high-capacity magazines, and other weapons of war. Policies to disarm gun owners who pose a risk to themselves or others, red flag, and a national gun buyback program to reduce the estimated 265 to 393 million firearms in circulation by at least 30%. How can you buy back something that you didn't provide in the first place? Bold step number 2 is to half the rate of gun deaths in 10 years. They want to mobilize an urgent and comprehensive federal response. They want to declare a national emergency around gun violence and announce an audacious goal to reduce gun injuries and deaths by 50% in 10 years, thereby saving up to 200,000 American lives. Well, maybe if you had all the leftist Democrats who are on prescription medication stop shooting people, that would save these lives too. Bold step number 3, they want accountability for the gun lobby and industry. They want to hold the gun lobby and industry accountable for the deaths of illegal behavior and misguided policies intended to shield only themselves. They want to re-examine the District of Columbia versus Heller. What? Did you catch that? Just in case you were crunching on Doritos or something, or maybe loading a magazine, I'm going to say that again. Re-examine the District of Columbia versus Heller's interpretation of the Second Amendment. What? David Hogg, you don't get to re-examine any cases because you're not a Supreme Court justice. I guess you didn't learn much in high school. Okay! Continues, they want to initiate both FEC, which is the Federal Election Commission, and IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, investigations into the NRA, which is the National Rifle Association of America, and fully repeal the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act. They want to go after these manufacturers and sue them out of existence. This is exactly what they're saying. The fourth bold step, they want to name a director of gun violence prevention. They want to appoint a national director of gun violence prevention who reports directly to the President of the United States with the mandate to operationalize our federal goals and empower existing federal agencies such as the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and the Department of Health and Human Services and the Centers for Disease Control, agencies that have all been structurally weakened by the gun lobby. Really? The ATF, the one that just changes rules like that, but doesn't have the statutory power to do what the government's let them do? They're made weaker by the gun lobby? Really? It continues. The National Director of the Gun Violence Prevention would begin by overseeing a down payment of $250 million in annual funding for research by the CDC and other federal agencies on gun violence prevention. Number 5, they want to generate community-based solutions. They want fully funded, targeted interventions addressing the intersectional dimensions of gun violence, including community-based urban violence reduction programs, suicide prevention programs, domestic violence prevention programs, mental and behavioral health service programs, and programs to address police violence in our communities. Every one of those programs already exists. Number 6 on the cuckoo train here, they want to empower the next generation because we're doing this for the kids. They want to automatically register eligible voters so that the Democrats can get all their votes. You know, we're going to automatically register all eligible voters to include everyone who's dead. And they want to mail voter registration cards to all Americans when they turn 18. They want to create a safety corps, which is a Peace Corps for gun violence prevention. The younger generations are disproportionately affected by gun violence. They should have a say in how their country solves this epidemic. Yeah, the easy thing is to stop making schools gun-free zones and put some friggin' protection in there, you bobos. That's why you don't get to make these decisions, because you're young and you're not as knowledgeable as you think you are. Every parent out there, raise your hand if you have a teenager. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Not a shot at you, not a dig at you kids, but you don't know what you don't know. Trust me. Now, I dug in deeper into what they want, and I'm not going to bore you with all this stuff, but I'm going to hit some bold areas that you should be aware of. Because inside of this cockamamie story are what they want Congress to do and what Congress is going to try to do once they come back Monday, September 9th, 2019. In addition to all the stuff that Trump just said that he's working with them on, and AG Barr also said that he fully anticipates Trump-backed gun control being addressed right away. Now, this part here that I'm going to say happens here in Massachusetts with one exception. I'm going to tell everybody out there because not every state is as screwed as this one is, but this is what they want. You might remember I told you about the MASS Act. I'll have a link here. It'll be in the description as well. You need to watch that if you haven't watched it yet. But it's a multi-step approval process overseen by a law enforcement agency that requires background checks. We already do those. An in-person interview, and personal references to be submitted, a rigorous gun safety training, and a waiting period of 10 days for each gun purchase. So all the things I said before that are things that you need to do in order to get your permit from the government for your civil right. And then if you want to buy a gun, you're going to have to wait 10 days if this goes through. Now, it's very much the same thing that I told you in the MASS Act, except the MASS Act has a red flag bill in it. They also want to add an annual licensing fee for anyone who wants to obtain a National Gun and Ammunition License. FFLs, they're talking to you. They want a higher standard for gun ownership, which would start with raising the minimum age for gun possession to 21. Here's some of the other stuff that if you don't read this stuff, you'll never know about. A limit of 1 firearm purchase per month is what they want. Prohibition on any and all online firearm and ammunition sales or transfers, including gun parts. Gun parts, too. Springs. A requirement to safely store firearms, including implementing national standards for locking devices on guns. and a requirement to report guns that are lost or stolen to law enforcement within 72 hours. And it all comes to a head September 9th, Monday, 2019, when Congress comes back to work. Please pass this along, because unless you go to these crazy web pages and read this cockamamie bull, you don't know what's coming. And every time I've seen stories from these groups, that is exactly what happens when Congress gets to work. They push these bills, they push this agenda, and it's coming. If you don't believe me, do nothing and wait until the 9th, and then I can say I told you so. But I don't want that. We are a strong team, and we're only getting stronger as this channel grows. Please hit that like button. It makes a huge difference. Please share this amongst your friends, because this will be suppressed. And if you haven't already, please consider joining Guns and Gadgets, where you're going to get all of the Second Amendment news, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, just about as fast as it happens. Till we see each other again, I am Jared. This is Guns and Gadgets. Be safe, stay vigilant, carry a weapon. Take care, everybody.